welcome back. Day 4 of our Feel Better, Move Better 21-day yoga challenge. Today, our practice, you might need a block or a blanket for your seated positions and potentially a yoga strap. If you do not have a strap, then a dressing gown belt will work perfectly, as would a tie if you happen to have one of those laying around. But you could also even use a tea towel, anything that is just going to give us a little bit of extra length potentially. So strap, brick or a blanket and yourself. So today our practice is going to be introducing you to some seated postures. We've spoken about the breath, our sun salutations A and B, which are very, very much standing sequences. So for today, day 4, it's going to be a little bit more grounding, a little bit more floor-based and poses that are done fairly lower to the ground. So we're going to start in Sukhasana, our seated posture. So this is where you might want to bring your blanket or your brick into play for your seated posture. So we're going to spend the next few moments adjusting your seated position in a way that is comfortable, that works for you and your hips ideally and your lower back. So in day 1 we touched upon this, so hopefully you know how to get yourself nice and comfortable in a seated position. Just know that this position is very uncomfortable for a majority of people. When we were kids, easy peasy, right? But it was easy peasy because we used to do it every day. We'd probably have to sit in assembly like this. And when we play with our friends, we sit on the floor a lot of the time. And as we grow older, we stop sitting on the floor. We stop doing all these movements that are actually really wonderful in keeping our bodies subtle and moving efficiently. So over time, just even seated like this is really useful. And if you want a tip that was shared with me many moons ago, I had a teacher and she was my meditation teacher, and I hated sitting cross-legged to the point it would make me angry. And I used to think, why do I have to sit like this? Why? And the reason we sit like this is when we do breath work and things like that, our prana, our life force, our energy can flow freely, but I'm saving that for another day. And I was taught that if I'm going to waste time watching television, is what I was told, then during the adverts on the breaks, drop to the floor off my sofa, sit cross-legged for the 3-minute ad break, and then I could pop back on. And then she used to say, so just add a minute to that every time. And little and often, before you know it, you'll come to cross-legged and it won't be so unbearable. Just elevate that height if it really is uncomfortable. Don't be shy about sitting on blocks that are that high. If that's what we need to do, that's what we need to do. So once your position is comfortable, we're going to draw inwards. Take that time inwards like we do always. Palms can be facing downwards, open today, whichever your preference might be. Palms facing down is usually a little bit more grounding and calming, and palms facing open is usually a little bit more energizing and uplifting for the body, for the nervous system. So whichever you feel drawn to today. The practice is quite grounding, so you might want to stay in suit with that and have palms down, but essentially it's your practice and you do what works for you. So once you've found your position, eyes are closed or gaze downwards. Start to tune in to what your breathing is doing. And just becoming aware of that ebb and flow, the rise and the fall of the breath. And then once you've started to project your awareness more inwardly, let the jaw relax, the forehead and the shoulders. Take a breath and inhale through the nose for a count of 4 and exhale through the nose for a count of 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 2, 3, 4. Out. 3, 2, 1. Continue your own rhythm, inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. Now, if that breath of 4 and 4 is enough for you today, you are more than welcome to stick with that count. If you find this isn't going into the bottom of the belly, then extend that inhalation now so that the breath does travel back into that 3-part yogic breath. Chest, ribs and navel, and down all the way to the bottom of the belly. Just using this time to establish the breath, to connect inwards to the breath, to yourself. And then if you're happy with your breath, we're going to start to move. But if you would need a little bit longer, feel free to pause and just sit connecting to that breath in and out for a little bit longer. If you are ready, inhale. You could blink the eyes open as you shift the gaze up, or you could keep your gaze inwards. I would if I wasn't talking to you, but I don't want to just practice with my eyes shut at you. Exhale, pull the hands to the heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, pull the hands to the heart. 3 more. Keep a nice tall spine. Last one. Inhale as you reach up, really lengthening through the sides of the body. And exhale, hands to the heart center. We're going to take a twist now. We're going to inhale, bring the arms up. As you exhale, you're going to take your right hand to your left knee, and your left hand is going to come behind you. On an inhalation, you're going to lift super tall. As you exhale, we're going to twist from the navel, taking our spinal twist, bringing the gaze over that back shoulder. Inhale, feel your chest space open and expand. And exhaling as you take it maybe a little bit further, but remember we don't force anything. If there's space and the body's like, yeah, I'm going to move into that, then go. If your body's going, no more room here, then we're going to respect that, honour that and work with that. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale, maybe twisting a little bit deeper. 1 more round. And then we can use the next inhalation to reach the arms up, and exhale, take your twist to the opposite side. Try and keep that spine nice and tall, and you can take your gaze over your back shoulder if you wish, but focus on feeling sensation in the waist and getting that nice lengthy twist. Inhale. As you exhale, can you twist a little bit deeper? And again. And then we're going to come back to center. We're going to now come into a seated pose called Baddha Konasana, or butterfly pose it might be known as. And we're going to stay on our bricks if we need to. I'll show you from this angle and I'll turn around. The legs are going to come out. And we're going to take the knees wide and the soles of the feet are going to come together. Now, you can pull your heels fairly tight in towards your sit bones and your hips, and that will give you a really intense stretch right here. However, if you pull your feet in too much, it could cause that roundy spine again. So for some of us, if we take the feet out a little bit further, we can find that nice lift in the spine, and that's where we want to fold from ideally. So feet together, knees wide, inhaling as we lift the chest and exhaling as we bring that chest forward. How much is up to you. Some of you will have the mobility, it's not actually, it's up to your body. Some of you will have the ability to have chest to feet, as you can see. I also have that, not. So I'm going to practice with what I've got, and I'm going to breathe into my tight spots, and I'm going to accept the fact that my body doesn't do some things, and that's all right. 5 breaths here, guys. 1, 2, maybe 2 or 3 breaths in, you do find a bit more room. 3, and 4. Then we can inhale and lift up. We're going to bring the knees in. You might want to pop off your block for this, or you might be okay on it. And we're going to just lean back ever so slightly, take the feet out as wide as your mat is, and then we're going to allow the knees to just fall to one side, so in this case the left. Inhale, bring them up, exhale them over to the right, and just slowly, steadily allowing those knees to switch sides. The outer leg will be externally rotated on the hip and the inner more internally rotated. So you might prefer an external rotation or an internal rotation. It's always good to get to know your body, what it likes and what it doesn't. Just a couple more. You might find yourself travelling up and down the mat, that's quite normal. And then we're going to come back to centre. I'm going to bring the legs out again, so you might need your blanket. So some of you might need slightest elevation, some of you might need a bit more. So with the legs out in front of us now, we're going to take another twist. So we're going to bend the knee and bring the sole of the foot to the mat. We're going to hug this shin, and as we inhale, we're going to lift up through that tall spine, and our right leg is flexed and working. Inhale, reach up for your right side. As you exhale, we're going to twist from the navel and bring either your elbow or your hand to the outside of your left thigh. Your left hand then comes behind, as does the gaze if that feels okay here. And we're going to hold here for 5 rounds of conscious breath. 1, 2, 3, 'As you get into these last 2 breaths, can you maybe twist a little deeper on those last 2 breaths? And then we're going to come out nice and slowly, controlling the exits and the entrances. We don't want to kind of ping out like an elastic band. Right leg is long now. No, it's not. Left leg is. Right knee is hugging in. Inhale, lifting up through the chest. Reaching up through that left side, creating as much length through this side as we can. As you exhale, rotating from the waist, bringing the elbow or the hands to the outside of the right thigh and the right hand behind you. You might find yourself leaning back. If you find that, take this bent leg a little bit further away. That way your spine can be tall rather than leaning back. Inhale, 1. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 4. Watch that bent knee. The knee isn't knocking in. If it is, just resist a little bit into the elbow. It actually feels quite nice. Last breath, and then we're going to come back to center. So untwist, bend both knees, feet back together, back into Baddha Konasana. So inhale, lifting tall. Exhale, folding forwards. 3 breaths this time. 1. 2. As you exhale, maybe moving deeper. And 3. Inhale to come up. And now we're going to take the knees in. Feet are going to be about hip distance apart. I'm going to pop off my block again. And what you might find is some poses need it and some poses don't seat it, but it's always good to have handy just in case. We'd rather have it there than not. So we're going to take a reverse tabletop position now. So we're going to bring the feet hip distance apart. Hands are going to come behind your waist with the wrist facing backwards, or you might prefer to turn them around. That is entirely your preference. When you feel ready, we're going to press into the hands and into the feet. We're going to inhale and we're going to lift the hips up into our reverse tabletop position. We're going to really lift up to the chest. And as we exhale, we're going to pop the butt back down. 3 more. Inhale to lift. Squeeze the glutes to help find that lift. You should feel a nice stretch in those hip flexors. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale down. And again. Now this time you can choose. You're either going to go up and down for 3 breaths, or we're going to lift and hold. 1. 2. Try to stay pressing down through all the toes. Them little ones are going to want to lift. And 3. Make sure we exhale that whole breath, and then we're going to drop back down. Block or no block, it's up to you now again. And we're going to take this into Paschimottanasana, or a seated forward fold. Now I'm going to bust some myths here for you. Once you've got your legs in position, so I wasn't just groping myself, I'm going to tell you to do that. You're going to get your butt cheeks, and sometimes putting those out of the way allows the bony parts to really root down. When we fold forwards, ideally we're folding from a fairly neutral position in our pelvis, and it's really challenging for anyone that has a pelvis that tilts back slightly. Mine naturally does, which is why I use blocks for a majority of time. And then if I want to fold from this position, it's quite challenging. So by me propping the hips, adjusting where I need to, I can fold from a much safer and more neutral space now, and I've got more of a chance to be able to get into my fold. So we're going to inhale, lift and lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, we're going to fold the chest over your thighs. Now, to do that, I have to bend the knees, and that is fine. Sometimes in yoga we believe things like we must have the hands to the toes. Nah. The aim of your fold is to get a nice stretch through the whole back of your body. And by bringing the chest and belly to the thighs, we're able to achieve that stretch, even if we have the knees bent. We're going to take a few breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. Let the chest melt if there's room, but don't force it if there isn't. 2 more. 1. And 2. Inhale all the way into the belly, even though we're folding into that space. Exhale, see if you can melt just a little bit further. Then we're going to inhale, come up. Just to show you as an alternative, for anyone that does not want to bend their knees, you could always use your strap or your dressing gown belt around the balls of your feet. Keep the spine tall, shoulders are relaxed, and always leading with the chest here. Sometimes we lead with the chin and the forehead, which gets a little bit out of alignment. So lead with the heart. If you don't want to bend the knees, you can use your strap to pull the chest forward, and you'll still gain that stretch through the back of the legs. And we'll just take 2 breaths here. Doesn't matter if you're in the other variation. 1. And 2. Inhale, start to lift out. Slowly releasing your strap, get that out of the way for a moment, and then we are going to take another fold-ish. We're going to bend the left knee now in the turn. I'm actually going to come off my block because when I bend one knee, my pelvis neutralizes a little bit. So you'll find all these weird and wonderful things that your body does and doesn't do. Focus more on things that it does do rather than the things that it doesn't. So we're going to take that left leg out to the side now, so it's not in front of us. I'm going to bend the opposite leg and bring the foot to the inner thigh. If there's any discomfort in this bent leg, you can use your brick or your blanket if it's floating, and that way it can relax down onto the brick and you can worry more about the area that we want to work. So when you're ready, you're going to take your right hand, or your left hand, sorry, along your inner left leg, and then the opposite arm is going to reach up and over into a little bit of a side stretch. Then we're going to inhale, come up, find more reach. Exhale into our side stretch. And you're going to do that 3 more times. Inhale up and exhale. Up and exhale. And I'm going to pause. Really roll that right shoulder back, really lift and elevate through your chest. Don't worry about how close you are to the foot. Worry about creating this lovely side stretch to the side of your body. Then inhale, come up. As you exhale, we're going to fold down the middle, keeping that lengthened leg flexed so we feel the stretch through the back of the legs. Inhale and exhale. 2 more. When you finish that last breath, we're going to walk the hands back up and switch sides, because otherwise we're going to feel odd for the rest of the day. Opposite leg out, opposite foot to thigh, taking the same hands, that inner left leg, and reaching up through the opposite side. Find as much reach as you can. Exhaling into your side stretch, breathe into that lovely opening in the side of the body. Inhale, coming up. Exhale back. You're going to do that in and out 3 more times, but you might find every time you go back in, because you're releasing and softening out, your body will actually go a little bit further. And last little side bend, maybe pausing, lifting up through the gaze and the chest, and then inhale as you rise back up, and exhale as you fold down the center again. A few breaths here. Inhale and exhale. And again. And then slowly walking our legs, hands back up. Bring the legs around, and now we're going to come around to all fours, please. Once you're on all fours, so as I mentioned, we're staying quite low today. We're going to take a few rounds of cat-cow, which we actually did on our first session. So again, just using these to bring that breath connection to the movement. Inhaling as the tailbone lifts, heart forward and up. You can never do too much cat-cow. Exhaling as the tailbone lengthens, belly hugs in, chin to chest, and press away. We're going to go for about 4 more rounds, done at your own pace. Inhale as you open. Exhale as you tuck in. 3 more. And then from here, we're going to pause, come back to more of a neutral spine. We're going to then take your right leg to the back of the mat, and the left arm is going to reach out in front. We're going to lift the right leg to the height of the hip. Inhale and really lengthen the spine. As you exhale, we're going to hug the elbow into the chest and the knee in towards the elbow, or the nose if you want to go a bit further. Inhale, stretch out and lengthen. Exhale as you hug in. 3 more. 1, 2. And last one. As we hug it in, we're going to just pause it there just for another breath. And then we can drop back to the mat. Left leg finds the extension, right side reaches out to find the length through the whole side body. When you feel ready, left leg floats up. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hugging in, just like we did on the other side. Inhale, find your length. Exhale, hugging in. 3 more. When you've done your 3, we're going to pop back to our tabletop position, back to all fours, and we're going to take 5 rounds of breath in our puppy. So our hips stay over the knees, and we're going to walk the hands out in front of us. We're going to create a nice diagonal line from the hip all the way down to the wrist. The forehead can be pressing down, stay active in the palms. And notice now how in this position you've got lots of lovely space to breathe into. So as you breathe these 5 breaths, they are really expansive. So don't just breathe into the belly. Think about the ribs on the side and in the back body. 1. As you exhale, let your heart melt towards the mat. 2. 3. Four. And 5. Really feel that breath expanding into all the little corners of the body. And as you exhale, we're going to drop the hips all the way down now into our child's pose. We're going to press into the fingertips and raise the palms. And just walk the hands around to the right hand side so you get a really lovely juicy stretch to the left side. And we're actually going to breathe in through the nose and sigh this one out the mouth now. So inhale. Just let it go. And then you're going to walk all the way around as far as you can to that left side as well, till you create that side stretch through your right side. And once you've got that stretchy space, inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And then we're going to walk the hands back to center. Walk the hands back up, and I am going to do this next pose on my knees because for some reason I find it easier. Feel free to pop yourself back into your cross-legged position if you would prefer. We're going to take a shoulder stretch, which is really lovely for opening up the sides and the front of the chest, but you might need your strap for this or you might not. So this is called Gomukhasana arms, or it's also known as cow face arms. So I'm going to turn around, not because I don't like you, but because you want to see better. So your strap is handy, but you might not need it. From here, we're going to inhale, reach the right arm up, bend the right elbow and bring the right forearm to between the shoulder blades. Your left hand is going to go into an internal rotation where we bring the hand from underneath, bending the elbow and reaching up. So, just to show you, if your hands meet, great, let them join. Mine barely meet. And you might have an imbalance in both sides. So the other side, I know I definitely need a strap. So just to show you how to use your strap if you need to. If you've got a gap, use your strap to bridge this gap. Then your right elbow is elevating up towards the ceiling. Your chest space is nice and open. And breath by breath, you can walk the hands further and further down and create more of an opening in the front body. We're going to take about 3 to 5 breaths. As long as you're consciously aware of the breaths, that's the main thing. Inhale. Breathe into your space. As you exhale, you might be able to then walk the hands up a little bit further. Maybe you don't want to, and that's also fine. Few more breaths here. Last one. So if you do want to see if the shoulder's given up a little bit more room, do so on this exhalation. But when you come out nice and slowly. Release the shoulders steadily. Roll them, shake them out if you need to, and then we'll move that pose to the other side. So the left arm will come from above now, and that will be the external rotation, and the right hand is going to come from below. So just to show you, you might well have an imbalance just like me. Know that this is more normal than not. So you can see I can't quite reach, whereas the other side I did have that range of movement, but in order for me to do that I'd have to force my right shoulder. There was a time I might have forced it before I really understood what yoga was, but now I'm learned to look after my body, to respect it, and to practice with my little ailments that I have going on. So almost lean back into that forearm, breathing into that lovely open space in the front body now like you have done on the other side. We're drawing this practice to a close, so feel free to start to pull your awareness in here by drawing the eyes closed. If you don't feel comfortable, that's absolutely fine. Just a few more breaths. And then whenever you feel ready, slowly releasing that posture. You don't necessarily need your strap anymore. Roll them a little bit. Shrug them a little bit. Anything that feels lovely and natural and nice for your body. Then from here, we're going to turn ourselves around, and you can either come to seated like we did in our first couple of sessions, or you might prefer Shavasana. So, if you would like, make your choice now, either seated with a tall spine or legs out nice and wide, arms to the side of the body but not touching in our Shavasana. Fidget, wriggle, adjust as much as you need to. And then we're going to take a huge breath in. I want you to fill up the lungs as much as you can and hold the breath. When you're holding the breath, you'll feel the tension in the chest, in the shoulders. Hold that for as long as you can stand, and when you're ready, sigh it out and just allow the body to relax and to go with that softening. You might benefit from doing that a second time. Feel free to. Inhale. Filling up all the little corners and crevices with that breath, our life force. Holding it for as long as we can just about bear. And then a huge sigh to release the breath and allow your physical body to relax. Letting go of any control over the breath now. As we practice just being the human beings that we are. Let your forehead relax. Let the throat relax. Let the chest relax. Let the hips relax. And even the ankles. if you would prefer to, you're welcome to pause and stay a little longer. If you're ready, we're going to very slowly start to move the fingers and the toes, ankles, wrists. And then in your own time, moving slowly, keeping your eyes closed, bend the knees and roll to your right. As you roll to your right, take a little moment of gratitude here for yourself, for showing up for you 4 days in a row. And then once you've thanked yourself, you can press your way back up to seated. Finding our seated position, pressing our palms together at our heart centre. Allowing the chin to bow in if you wish to bring our practice together today to a close. Thank you again, guys. I hope you enjoyed that more seated, maybe more grounding session than the sun salutations, and I look forward to seeing you for day 5.